coming with it. Okay, so today, God bless you so much for it's been a pleasure. I personally am a bit exhausted, but committed to duty, so we'd have to still make this meeting a possibility. So first and foremost, for those who couldn't make it last week, we'll do a quick uh, recap so that you'll be able to catch up with the little that we did last week. So as you can see on your screen, right here on your screen, we talked about a few things. So the first one was first to identify what do you want to actually do. You need to first determine what you want to do with your life first. And then we talked about these examples right here. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, as to say you want to actually start your own business. If you want to be an entrepreneur, which simply means that you don't want to start your own business, but you want to rise in the corporate world and be in positions of influence, positions where you can start or take entrepreneurial activities. For example, the CEO of MTN Ghana can literally develop a whole new product which does not even exist, and then take that entrepreneurial activity with MTN. So you want to also not necessarily start your own business, but you want to grow in corporate world, in public service, and then be in that position to influence other major decisions and businesses. Support teams, solopreneur, influencer. We talked about how a lot of people are making quite a lot of money through social media. And for example, the youngest kid in 2020 during the lockdown, one of the youngest monetizers on YouTube, made over $20 million just simply by recommending toys. So all he does is do reviews of toys and recommend toys. And now all the toy companies were advertising on his videos here and there. And his recommendations was leading so many parents and kids buying those toys. And he had as much as about $20 million. So you need to know which part you are. I gave an example of a celebrity here in Ghana who's been given a house, is being paid every month, is being given a car, or because she's become a celebrity. And when she speaks, she influences a lot of customers. And by virtue of she being an influencer, these institution is willing to give her a house, give her a car, and pay her every month, literally for her being an influencer. So being an influencer now is actually also something you could monetize. We talked about sales, talked about CEO, founder, talked about inventor. So basically that was it on that side for those who missed it last week. So this part was quite important for me to explain to all of you. Dr. Dabo, I hope you're around. I hope you could all hear me, just to be sure that it's not monologue.
Yes, please, Doc, we can hear you.
Good.
Yes.
Good. So last week, I tried explaining about the actors and the doers. So the actors are simply people who are quite comfortable. They are in a position of complacency. They are quite content with where they are. And there is not much they are doing to move on to the next level. So what you just see here is from the first brackets, that was like an income bracket. So the first bracket is more like those who earn between 1,000 to 100,000, let's say Ghana cedis, for example. And if you see the 80% are the actors, they are the people in that income ratio who are quite satisfied with what you're doing. And then we have the 20% people who are the doers. Now, these are the people who control this bracket. Now, the 1% is actually where I want you to be. So anybody listening to this conversation, I don't want you to be I don't want you to be part of the 80. First, I want you to be part of the 20%. And in that 20%, I want you to be part of the top 1%, because with the top 1%, the little effort you put in, you would move on to the next bracket. But if you can see very well from what is showing in this bracket, you would notice that the moment you move into the next bracket, you go into the lowest 1% of that bracket. In other words, If your income, you were earning between 99,000 and 100,000, so you are the Oga in that first bracket of 1,000 to 100,000. The moment your salary increases to 101, 102, 102,000, and then you move on to the next bracket of 101 to 200,000, you realize that at 102,000, you are the lowest in that bracket of 101 to 200,000, which means you've now fallen under the actors, and now you have to work, and get into the 20% percentile, and then make sure that in the 20% you aim for the top 1%. Then you move on to the next level. Once your life is like this, it means that you never get complacent, because in this life, like I explained to those who were with us last week, there are people that would always be better than you, no matter how you achieve, no matter how good you are. Even today, when we talk about the richest men in the world, and we are talking about Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and Zuckerberg and Lauren, all these rich people we talk about will shock you and it will surprise you. There are some people with better things than them in certain areas than they do. So in life, there would always be someone with something better than you have. And life is not all about just money. So you have to just make sure that you are aiming higher and you are trying to move ahead, because there will always be people who are also where you are better than. So if you concentrate on those you are better than, you become complacent. That is a problem we have, especially in Ghana. If you pick the likes of great men like Sam Jonah, Despite, and all the popular rich men in Ghana that we know, at a certain given moment, they become so rich and you hardly see them move on to the next stage of their lives. That is moving into the West Africa, and then moving into the continental level and moving into the global level. So at a certain point, the African naturally becomes satisfied with his achievements because he is the Oga in where he is. I mean, his level is in a way that he's far better. He has houses, he has cars. I mean, he gets quite complacent. So I want out of this meeting for us to get to the levels of the Dangote. So far, the only person without politicizing anything here is the Jatasment Ibrahim Mahama, who is a bit on that path of the Dangote style. And I'm glad that the current government and both the opposition have put politics aside and all Ghanaians are supporting this Jatasment. And that is what we all have to do. Eventually, Ghana would have to get generals and big people that are going to go beyond the national and then go into the international. So that's a bit of what we talked about. So as we are talking, if you are an actor, then please, sorry to tell you, this meeting is not for you. I'm talking to those who are doers, those who want to aim high and those who are hungry for more. Okay, so this is to let you have a quick overview of what we talked about last week. So then quickly we explained to all of you. I'm taking my time to go through just to give you a deeper understanding in the next 15 minutes, and then we'll go into today. So basically, I explained to you the difference between money and currency. And I explained to you medium of exchange. In other words, somebody is buying bread, somebody is selling bread. So there's a buyer, there's a seller. Money is it's the medium of exchange to exchange. At first, would have used barter trade. So I have bread, you have gold. I have bread, you have pepper. So you exchange it, but now it becomes a medium. It's a unit of account. In other words, we have it in tens and 20s and 50s and 100s and 200s. We're able to quantify it. It is portable. In other words, it can be carried around. It is divisible. So money is something that can be put into different forms. Okay. I hope I've not lost. I just went blank for me. Can you see my screen?
Yes, please, Doc.
Okay, good. So it is interchangeable, so fungible, interchangeable. You can convert it from one to another, one stage into another form. So you can move it from physical money to check. You can move it from check to bonds. It's actually fungible. And the only difference, which I highlighted to all of you, is that money is a store of value, whereas currency is not a store of value. And I give you a very simple example. When Ghana did the old Ghana cedis and the new Ghana cedis, what we call the redenomination, the moment Ghana announced that all the old 5,000s and 2,000s and those monies were no longer going to be used in the system, and were given a period of which we were to exchange them for the new Ghana cedis. If today you have 1 billion old Ghana cedis physical cash with you, it can't do anything in our system for you because Ghana is no longer using that. So currency in itself is not a store of value. Currency is a medium of exchange, so unit doesn't store value, because what we call fiat, that is what currency is. So another word for currency is fiat, F-I-A-T. So with the fiat, it is actually a decree by the government saying that this promissory note, a paper, this paper that we have, we've named it Ghana cedis, can be used as a means of exchange, can be used as a unit of account. It is portable, it is divisible, it is fungible, but it's not a store of value. But money in itself is a store of value. And the reason why I stressed on the word here was for you to understand that money in itself, it is actually holding something precious called value. So most of you would understand subsequently what we talked about is that we need to understand that money flows towards value, because money in itself is storing value. So we talked about devaluations, the principles of money you had to know. And if you look at the first principle, the word there is devaluation. There is a word value in there. So money devalues over time due to inflation. So if you have 10,000 Ghana cedis today, and with that 10,000 Ghana cedis, you don't put it into any form of savings, any form of investment. In the next 5 years, the 10,000 would not be of the same value. And the reason why, please just a second. Just a second, please. Everyone study. Okay. My apologies. I had my professor enter my place. So money devalues over time due to inflation. By the way, my professor is my son. So money devalues over time due to inflation. So we need to understand from this concept that if you keep money, like I explained to you, 10,000, the purchasing power of Ghanaians, if you pick cement at a given moment was 25 cedis, now it's around 50 cedis. So if imagine you had 10,000, and then the 10,000 could at first buy as many as maybe 200 bags. Now with the 50 is just buying somewhere around 100 bags, and that is the difference here. So if you don't do anything about money, with time the value is not the same. Money flows from those who understand and value it least to those who understand and value the most. This principle is very important because at a certain given moment, people, for some reasons, think that money is evil, money is dangerous, money will not help you go to heaven, and all this. All this myth about money, we need to demystify. Bible says, and for those who are Christians and religious, who for some reasons think that money is so evil, you don't even have to talk about it. Let me tell you, Bible says that money answers all things. And that very scripture for which most people use it, saying that Bible then says that the love of money is the root of all. If it didn't say money, but the love of money. In other words, your attachment to money. So all these things that I'm teaching you, I'm not teaching you for you to be attached to money. I'm teaching you for you to understand that money is a tool. Money is an instrument. Money is something you need. So like I explained to you the last time, sometimes we have to do what we have to do in order to do what we want to do. And for your information, for the dreams and realities you have, for you to fulfill them, you need to have money. So money is not evil in itself. But if you are excessively attached to money, that your principles are compromised, you're excessively attached to money, that you can be bought, that is when money becomes evil. So that is what we mean when we talk about it from that way. So to make it clear, is the love of money that is the root of all evil, not money. So that is clear for all of you. The third point is expenditure and receipt. And this part, I'm taking it over because if you get these principles very well, your mentality, your mindset towards money will change. And for so many people, I always tell them their financial independence starts from their financial intelligence. It starts from the understanding of money and the concept of money. So the third principle here is about expenditure and receipts. Now listen carefully. Those who value money, if you look at the words we are saying here, the word value runs through it. And for those who were here last week, you understand the importance of value and what we mentioned about value. Those who value money least have higher relative expenditure than receipts. And those who value it most have higher relative receipts than expenditure. In other words, if you pick the likes of someone, a great person like Despite, if you look at the expenditure of Despite, pick his salt production, pick his radio station, pick his TV station, his real estate, his expenditure streams are so high, very, very high. It's possible he spends over 3 million Ghana cedis a month. It's more than possible you'll be spending even with that. But then for Despite to be rich, it means that if he's spending 3 million, then he's earning way above 3 million. So those who value money least, most people who don't value it, and that's a problem here. The poor people are having higher expenditure than receipts. And these are the people living from one paycheck to the other, living from hand to mouth. In other words, and these things are happening over and over because if you go with those things where you are earning, I'm still going to use that same amount we used last week, 2,000. And your expenditure is 2,400. It means you have to take a loan from the bank to supplement the deficit of 400 cedis. If your expenditure is more than 2,000, it means that you start taking bribes at the workplace, or you start taking a lot of facilitation and greasing of palms and stuff because your expenditure is exceeding it. We talked about these things and I explained to you last week, so I didn't go into details on it. The economic energy exchange. Money is an economic energy that can neither be created nor destroyed. It exchanges from one form to the other. So let me tell you, as we are all seated here, all of us, as I'm concerned, there's no billionaire listening to this yet. So the question is, how did Elon Musk become a billionaire? How did Zuckerberg, how did he become Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all these guys? How Dangote, how did they become rich? Did the world just decide that we should take all our money and just give it to them? No. It is an economic energy whereby the more value you create, the more these monies you attract. So in other words, money exchanges from one form to the other. It is exchanging. So that's how now you're hearing about cryptocurrency. You're hearing, you know about bonds. You hear it just simply exchange, but the value will remain the same. So if I have my physical cash of 10,000, I go and put that 10,000 into an account. Though my 10,000 is not physically with me, the 10,000 in the account is the same as the 10,000 I was physically holding. And I can issue a check to somebody, and that promissory note of a check would suffice. I can also take a check and withdraw. I can move that money into my mobile money. So it is an economic energy that can neither be created nor destroyed. So you don't all of a sudden get your account credited by 50,000. There should be a counter productivity somewhere bringing in that 50,000 into your account. So money just doesn't drop from the skies. Money just doesn't happen, if you get where I'm coming from. So the direction of money tends to flow towards service and value, not work and time. And this one, the more we understand this, the earlier it is for us. I'm being honest with you. And for most of us, if we don't get this thing and understand it into our spirit, we will work for the rest of our lives. And at the end of the day, we'll not be able to produce the necessary wealth that we want to make, the impact that we want to make. Because let me tell you something. Now, if I give time and I give work, okay, these two things, what I'm going to earn is that it's going to be a wage, it's going to be a salary, it's going to be a commission, it's going to be a bonus. These are the four likely things if I give work and time, I'm going to get. Now, let me tell you, if I give service and I give value, I'm going to, in turn, receive sales revenue, okay? I'm going to, in turn, receive commission for consultancy or commission for whatever. I'm going to end up receive other multiple source of income. So once you know that money flows towards service and value more than work. So let me be honest with you. If you are giving your work and you are giving your time, you end up with wages and salaries, which is not bad. We need that for a start. We need that. And I'm not telling everybody to move into starting your own business. That's why the first part of this session showed that if you need to determine what you want to do. So you can stay in public service, you can stay in working for someone and still be rich. It's possible. But you need to understand the principles behind becoming wealthy. An example, and I'm giving you a very clear example. If I work in a bank and I give my time and I give my work, what I'm actually doing for the bank is that I'm selling my service to the customers by them, solving their problems for them. Loans, I give it to them. Those who want to transfer, I do it for them. But that service and value is ultimately within the confines of the bank. And therefore, it is the bank which is giving the service and the value. So the real money is being paid to the bank. And out of that money being paid to the bank, this bank gives me part as salary and as wages, if you get where I'm coming from. So now what actually matters here is that we need to understand that at a certain given moment, we all need to move towards what we call service and value. In other words, if you are going to, please just a second, I have one of my giants, sorry, just a second, please. Hello, sorry, my apologies. Doc, are you guys there?
Yes, please, Doug.
Okay, it's part of family life, so.
Sure.
The firstborn came and now the twins are also following up. Okay. Okay, so we have this part which I explained to you. So we all need to understand it very carefully. That if you are even in a corporate world, okay, that is the reason why we call something about becoming a director of a company. Okay, you aim to become a director. In some institutions, as you rise, they give you what we call stock options. So though you are being paid salaries, you also become a part owner of the company. And at that point, you are moving beyond just taking your salary and your wages. You are moving towards your service and your value. I hope some of these concepts that I'm talking about is very clear to you. Is it clear?
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So for a while now, I've been mentioning value. Today, I'm trying to take it again because I feel until we really understand the word value, most of us will be missing it. Now, let me give you a very simple definition of value. Very simple. Dictionary definition. One dictionary definition of value is that the regard that something is held to deserve, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. People put it as an estimate of the monetary worth of something. To have an estimate of the monetary worth of something. Now, the last time I explained to you, I made it I made it clear that we need to, just a second, oh, my screen, please, can you see my screen? I just went blank here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can still see the screen.
Okay, good. Okay, so value in itself here, which is something that I need all of us to clearly understand, is the fact that value is something which is actually intrinsic. You don't determine the value, and I tried explaining this last week. You don't determine the value that you are given. Value is determined by those who are buying it. Let me put it this way. You know, funny enough, I was in Accra. I went to visit a friend, and then he said, "Oh, let's go to this place to sit down." When I got there, they were selling the normal Vortic bottle for 25 cedis. The medium-sized Vortic bottle for 25 cedis. A Malta Guinness is almost 30 cedis. And in that case, for those who take alcohol, you don't even need to ask for wine, because if Vortic and malt is costing that much, then you know. But the funny thing is, I just looked around me and the people seated in this inn, and everybody came there with a very, very expensive car. The value to these people is not the bottle, it's not the water or the malt or the wine, but the convenience and comfort with a certain class of people. That is what is value to them. So to these people, they are so rich that 25 cedis for Vortic means nothing to them. So the business opportunity in here for the originator of this idea of this restaurant is that there are certain class of people who would want to eat, who would want to sit, who would want to have a place of convenience to sit with their friends, either than their home. Maybe they don't want their wives to see them. They don't want their husbands to see them. They don't want whatever. So they want some privacy. Now, what he does is that there is an open space in the restaurant and there is reserved inns. They call it inns. So you can sit there of 6 people with a nice curtains where you see those outside, but those outside can't see you. And then these people are there. They do all sort of things. The value in here is not only per se the 25 cedis Vortic bottle. The value in here is inculcated in almost every single thing that this person is doing. So what I want to tell you here is this: your value added or your value creation, before we even go into them, like we talked about last week, you need to start from those who need that service, those who need that product. So your value begins with the people who need them. So let me give an example. Even the choice of your career, and this is something last week I didn't talk about. That's why I told you I wanted you to get a week, think through it, then we'll come back and we will talk about money, value, career, everything, financial management. But then today's session will make more sense to you because you've gotten a certain foundation. The career you choose to do often is according to your passion, your desire, your areas of strength. Maybe you didn't pass well, maybe you passed well, so you think you can do medicine. Maybe you got this, so you think you can do engineering. Okay, I didn't get it, so let me go and do another program. A lot of factors may or could have determined it. However, this is the point you need to make. Wherever you want to fix yourself in future, you need to understand, as much as it depends on you, it depends also on the demand of that service you are offering. And you need to determine from today whether you are willing to pay that price. And let me explain. So if you want to be a dentist today, you need to find yourself, starting asking yourself right now, because you see, I am talking to people. I said, you are not what? Actors. You are what? Can somebody tell me? You can type it there for me. I said, I'm not talking to actors. I'm talking to who? You see, somebody type?
Doers.
Good. I'm talking to doers. So if you are a doer, okay, then it simply means that you are not going to be like any ordinary person. So if you want to be a dentist, then we are talking about you being the finest of all dentists. So these are the things you are going to look out for. First and foremost, we've talked about your passion, blah, 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 all those stuff. Now I'm talking about the money side of this and the demand side of it. So please don't, this is a disclaimer. I can't cover everything, but don't think I'm just talking about money in your profession. That's not what I mean. Today we are talking about money. So I'm looking at the value and the money and the wealth in your profession. So if you want to be a dentist, okay, the first thing you need to ask yourself here, who are the people who pay the dentist? Who pay dentists in Ghana? How many ordinary Ghanaians go for a session with a dentist? How many of them? At what point would an ordinary Ghanaian go and see a dentist? Often, Ghanaians would not go. I mean, the average Ghanaian will not go to see a dentist over just some small pain. They go there when they have a serious toothache. They go there when they're in pain. They go there when they're in this. And then we have the upper class who, for aesthetic purposes and other things, will go and see a dentist. Some will put the braces here and then stuff. Now, you now would have to quickly do a survey in that career. And there's a problem we have. You know, so many young people are moving into careers and things, and all they are thinking about is just to get that title, doctor, whatever, to get that title. They are not looking at the end results of it. So you have to do a reverse action. You start the end from the beginning. And you are going to find out who are the people who pay for an architect. Who are the people who pay for them? And those who are not paying, why are they not paying? What can I do to make architecture attractive? What can I do to make teaching attractive? I'm a teacher. I want to be a teacher. What can I do? I'm a banker. What is it that bankers are doing that they can do better if I get into that domain? Start asking these questions, start getting that value, and then begin to stand out immediately and have a plan. By the time we finish with the third part, there's the second part, all of you should come up with a financial plan. And I'm going to teach you today. So the value in here is the estimate of the monetary worth of the service or the service or the product or whatever you are giving to that person. And that can be done through value added. When you say value added, the thing exists already, but you've added something to it. Or value creation, you are doing something new which doesn't exist. Or even it existed, it wasn't in this format. So you are creating a whole new value. And that is how we can end up becoming very financially independent. Now, wealth creation, okay, if you want to create wealth, last week we explained, is value plus fair exchange. Value plus fair exchange. Where value here means the fact that you are giving something of worth, which is a monetary estimate of worth. That is value here. The fair exchange simply means a platform which is legal, legitimate, something which it is not against the laws and the principles with which you live by. So the laws of the country, that is external, and your own principles you live by. So if you are a Muslim, you don't sell alcohol. So no matter how much money you will earn, you don't go and sell alcohol because you are Muslim. It's your principle. You don't sell alcohol. So you are also a Christian. You don't do gambling, bets, and whatever. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter the money that it brings. You don't do it. But if you don't have those principles, you are free. If you have to sell alcohol to make it, it's up to you. As long as in the country you live in is legal. So what I'm just trying to say here is that the fair exchange here is both legal and legitimate. So we are talking about your external principles, external laws, and then your own internal principles that you live by. Now, if you have that fair exchange, so it's like a teacher and in a school, okay? But then this is the parts most of us are missing. So let me tell you, I give you an example. Somebody is into decor, okay? The person does decor. Just go get a shop and then put items there and say, hey, I'm actually having a decor. So it goes and then puts it there. But doesn't know anybody, has no social capital, and now is just starting. So this person will have to do a lot of marketing, a lot of things to be known, and eventually the person would find some customers. However, another person, let's say another person has other people. So let me pick a name here, Agnes. So Agnes has other people. She knows some contractors. Okay, Agnes knows some what do you call it, aluminium and door people. She knows those who does roofing and stuff. So when these guys go to do work, they recommend that. Now the difference between Agnes and maybe let me pick Aliyata. So Agnes has social capital, Aliyata doesn't. So both of them are given the same value. They all have a very good fair exchange, but Agnes will become richer faster than Aliyata because of the leverage she has. So the leverage here is that catalyst, okay? Is that propelling factor that takes you higher and the rate at which you increase or you improve, if it is clear to you. So I wouldn't waste much time. We did this last week. So under wealth creation, leveraging is very important. And leveraging here simply means using all the available resources around you to your advantage without compromising your beliefs, your principles, and the laws around you. So if you remember, we talked about fair exchange. So you are using all the resources. So resources here, what resources are we talking about? Financial resources. What resources are we talking about? Your technical resources. I mean, your expertise, your area of knowledge, your area of expertise, okay? What resources are we talking about? Social capital, the people you know, the people who know you, the links and networks that you have. And what do you have? Leveraging social media. We're on Facebook. There is something about digital marketing that you can easily use it and you can use it to your advantage. And then if you have all this leveraging, and that's a sad thing. So I had a friend, okay, and this one was, we were discussing it, I remember at a drink over the weekend. And this friend of mine, I wouldn't give too much so that we wouldn't know him, is doing well in his area, doing so well, getting recognitions, being known by the top guys in politics, in the industry, and all that. But this gentleman I'm talking about does not know leveraging. He doesn't know monetization. So I don't know those top guys. I don't know them. They don't just know me and all that. But when this guy is broke, he comes to me. How on earth would he know the big man and all those people and still cannot monetize it? Because some people have not understood the principles of monetization. Monetization does not mean these big men, you go to them and you ask for money. No, you don't. You just make sure that you are using the network for the utmost benefit of you yourself and the people around you. So let me give an example. He has so much social capital that some of these big men sometimes ask him, oh, is there any project you are doing we can invest in? And this guy would just tell them, no, I don't have any projects. He's a fiero. He actually doesn't want to take anybody's money and then it goes wrong. And for a while, I've been telling people this thing. So many of us out of the fear of what could happen, end up making nothing happen. So many of us, that fear of what would happen. Hey, what if I take money from the bank? Hey, what if I stop that project and it doesn't work? Hey, what if no? If you have that fear, convert your fear into caution. And converting your fear into caution will simply mean here that you have converted your anxiety into due diligence and calculated risk. Am I making sense to somebody? Sometimes it feels like a monologue.
Sure.
The organizers, are you guys hearing me loud and clear? Otherwise, it feels like
yes,
I'm
please,
talking to my.
Yes, we can hear you, Doug.
That's good. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is that we need to learn to monetize the social capital that we have. And as I'm telling you, this friend of mine couldn't make it, or is not making much money because of the fear of what would happen. Nothing actually happens to him. Let me be honest with you. Today, this Zoom we are using, today, A zone, even the A zone network, okay? Somebody took that risk and said that the founders, the organizers said, oh, there's something more we can do for the youth. Why don't we do this? Then some of these youth, you do things for them and they don't even appreciate it. Oh, somebody tell you you want to use them for whatever. Anything you do, somebody have something to say about it. But what am I telling here? Turn your fear into what? Caution. Did you hear that? And turning your fear into caution, okay, simply means you are turning your fears into due diligence and calculated risk. In other words, you are not going to venture into things where you don't have any, what do we call it? Just entering by faith. No, it's not just by faith. You take your time to do your due diligence. Due diligence simply means here that you take your time to verify information. You take your time to recheck that things that are being said are true. The people you are partnering with are genuine. You check all that. Is that okay? So what we have here is a hard workers say this thing. And what do they say? Practice makes perfect. But smart workers say perfect practice makes perfect. And when we say perfect practice, it means that you are perfecting your practice eventually. Okay. So, road to financial independence. Just a second. Someone's audio is echoing. I think it's coming from Richard at CEO.
All right, and I'll see to it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good. It's clear now. So the road to financial independence. So I explained to all of you that for us to be financially independent, these four, we need to understand them. One, we need to work. When we work, actually, do not work for money, but work to build a system that generates money. And this one is from Kiyosaki, Robert Kiyosaki. So the wealth creation model I gave you is from Rob Moore, and this principle I'm talking to you is from Robert Kiyosaki, and others are from other authors and other people, and some are from myself too. So when you work, do not work for money, but work to build a system that generates money for you. So what does this simply mean? If I'm a banker, okay, if I don't go to work, I don't get any money. Once I stop working, my salary ceases. But if I am an author and I've written books, I'm a banker and I've also written books. As long as my books are selling, money comes in. If I'm a musician, as long as my music is being played, I get some royalties. Okay, so I want you to understand it in a way where you know that money in itself is not always about work and time, like we explained, but money is about system of service and value. So you try to put up a system in place, and that system is what I'm going to show you today. When it comes to spending, buy an asset. When I say buy an asset here, it simply means asset here is not just for the financial accounting form, but an asset in the sense that something that brings value to you, doesn't take money or value out of you. So if you take, for example, if I buy a car and the car, I don't get any money from it, but I spend on it. It is not bad. There are some assets we would have that become liability because you're always spending on them. But as much as possible, your mentality should be that most of the things around you, at least more than 80% of them, and for those who are not very frugal, at least more than 50% of the things that you buy should be things that bring you in money for you. In other words, if you are building a house, you can build a house and keep two bedroom for yourself, 3 bedroom for yourself, and rent the rest out, so that you don't have to get new cash to maintain the house. You can use the rent to maintain it. However, when God blesses you and you're so rich, please, I mean, you have to also enjoy your own luxury. So these principles, there's a fine line in between them. So understand them from the point where I'm trying to say that get the principles right, where things that you do should bring you more value. So income, I always tell people, graduate from paycheck mentality to net worth mentality. When I say paycheck mentality, paycheck is about what we talk about. It's about work and time. Once your entire life is built on work and time, then it simply means that if you don't work, if you don't give your time, you never receive a paycheck. But net worth simply means this, because you see, I met a friend, Oliver, and I met him at East Legon, and this guy, every 2 to 3 months, receive about $100,000 from his family's inheritance. I mean, the father has built wealth for this young man to the extent that $100,000. I mean, this is crazy. The guy receives $100,000 every 2 to 3 months. So every quarter of the year, he receives $100,000. So this young guy can choose never to work. I mean, MDs of institutions don't even take $100,000 per annum. And this guy is receiving $100,000 a quarter, all because the father, the parents, the father and mother built a net worth system for them. And what do I mean? They have a huge apartments in rent house where they take 3 to 6 months. They don't take a whole year. They have properties in prime areas where banks and stuff are renting. They have tracks and they have business because systems have been put in place for him. Kind of mentality we should have for our kids. And the next one we talked about here is personal branding. Make yourself your own company. Let me be honest with you, and I'm telling you this that on authority. Be careful about people who try to destroy your reputation. Don't take it slightly at all. When people try to mar your image, destroy your reputation, destroy what you've built, because let me tell you, you are your own brand, you are your own company. Each one of us listening to me today, that brand you have, okay, that brand you have is something you've toiled for. So Asante Abigail, okay, you are your own brand, you are your own self, and make sure that you understand yourself, that you are your own company, you are the owner, you are the executive, you are the leadership of your own self, and you have to have that mentality so that anything you do, know that it has reputational repercussions for you. Now, to today's main thing that we are doing, which I want you to see this thing very carefully. If anybody here has done economics, okay, land, labor, and capital, what does this mean in economics? Anybody to answer for us? You can type. What are these 3 things in economics? Anybody? Land, labor, and capital.
Factors of
You can
production.
type. They are what?
Factors of
what?
production. Production.
Okay. Who factors of production. Good. Who was that? Your name? Who spoke? Your name?
Al Hassan WK Umar.
Okay, so Al Hassan is good for you or Umar? Which one should I call you by?
Any of them.
Okay, so Al Hassan, okay, I've seen you. Good. So he talks about factors of production here. Now look at it carefully. And I need you to have this picture in your mind, all of you. This is your own personal economy. Every one of you listening to this today and seeing this. This green part here is the income earned from labor. I'm assuming that all of us listening today, we don't have our father or our mother or somebody who has created wealth for us. I'm assuming that all of us are the first generation of rich people for the next generation. In other words, I'm assuming that this is just a ceteris paribus, it's just an assumption, okay? For you and for me, we cannot just get up and say we want to be rich overnight. It cannot happen. It's not possible. It's even never going to happen. We would have to do and go through these stages I'm going to show you. And in the next 10 years, we would all be a bit into the upper middle class and pushing as doers into the top class. And this is it. If you look at the income earned from labor, which is like your salary. So the first step for all of us here is that the first level of value here is for us to enter into jobs or places of profession that can give us a constant flow of money. Does that mean I'm actually contradicting myself? Shouldn't we rather be doing entrepreneurship or that? No. I told you we should move from the paycheck mentality into what mentality? Okay, Martin Luther. Good. Richard Mensah. Very good. Good. So next, worth mentality. So Martin Luther. Okay, good. Betty, Whitney Moses, Martin Luther, Richard. Good. Thank you. Thank you. So we move into the next worth. Okay, but I forget you. God bless you. I've seen all of it. So now we need to move there. So we are going to spend in our past, in our present, but we are going to spend into the future. Where are we going to spend that then? We are going to spend it into factors of production. We are the labor, okay? So we have it. We are the labor. So into these two factors of production, which is land and which is capital. Capital here, I'm going to show you how you're going to do it, how you're going to build capital. So many people would tell you, oh, the problem in Ghana is how to raise capital. Yes, it is a problem. Let me be honest with you, if it were easy to raise capital, then everybody would be a rich guy, true or false? If it were easy, then we'd have a lot of millionaires and billionaires all over the place. It's not. So the investment for future income, listen carefully. We are getting income from labor. If you look at what we've done, what I've shown you, and this is the principle of life, it will change you forever, and I mean it. You are using your time. The green one you see here is your time. Okay, your work and your time has given you income. You spend some for your past, you spend some in your present, and now you're spending to your future. But what are you spending to that future? You are investing for future income into land and into capital. What is land here? Land is simply the company the real estate, the transport, anything that is going to bring you more income, and the capital here is the means to get more money. And that is what we are going to do. Now, are you ready for us to start planning into your future? Organizer, somebody should talk to me so I know I'm not alone here.
Yes, Doc, we are ready.
Yes. Okay, let's go. So now I'm going to give you a very simplified model for all of you, very simple. You see right here, right? This is a world planning model. We're going to do it I'm going to take you systematically through it. So what I showed you here, if you remember, I'm going back for you to get it. Here is your income from earned labor, right? The organizers, at this point, I need one of you to stay on the microphone with me because I need that feedback to know you are getting it. So if you look at this map of your personal economy, the first thing we talked about was your income from earned labor, okay? Which is your active income. So the word active income means it's something which is regular, it is constant. So it can be you are paid per hour, you are paid per day. Those are what we call wages. You are paid per month, okay? It is actually salary. Or is a portfolio income. You've done some investment somewhere where money is coming for you. Anyway, there should be an active income. Active income here means regular and constant. It means it's a reliable source of money that comes into your pocket. So as long as any one of you here can start from this first level, okay, of income from earned labor, this first level, and which assures us of this active income, then this is how I want you to proceed. The first way I want you to proceed is that everybody gathered here should do this for me. No matter how spendthrift you are, can we all agree that we are not going to spend 60%, more than 60% of our salary? So I'm still using the 2,000 salary markup. If you earn 2,000, okay, and I'm asking you not to spend more than 60% of your salary, which means that you are not supposed to spend how much? 60% of 2,000 is how much?
1,200.
It's 1,200. So it means I'm asking you not to spend more than 1,200 of your salary. Yes. Is this possible? Is this possible?
Yes, please.
Yes.
It is. Good. Good.
It's possible.
Now, for somebody who is so hungry and wants to even achieve more, I'm asking you to not spend more than 40%, which is about 800, or 50%, which is about 1,000, and at most should be 60%. Okay. Now look at how I then take you through how we're going to make it. Now I'm saying that after you have spent this money, you have, so I'm assuming those of us who decide to spend 60%, so we have 40% left. Okay, so if you spend only 40, you spend 50, then so for what I'm showing you here, I'm showing you the frugal way to wealth first before I show you the abundance way to wealth. So listen to me carefully. I said I'm showing you what the frugal, let me type that for those who may not hear the words or may not know. Somebody saying he can't hear anything. Please, the rest of you, can you hear? Somebody has typed that he can't hear anything.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
You can hear. Okay.
We can hear you very clearly.
Okay, then I'm sure it's coming from his side. So the frugal style before the abundance style. So I've put it in the, oh, I think, sorry, instead of everybody. Okay. So frugal style before abundance. So you can all look into the chat. I've put it there. So this is the frugal way. So it means that we are just trying to use what we have towards the path, the pathway to wealth. So if you spend that 40% or 50% or 60% of your salary, I'm assuming that the maximum amongst us is 60. We have 40% left. Now look at what I do here. I'm saying that for wealth accumulation, because this is the whole thing, we cannot, please, and I'm saying this, we cannot get to this level of capital and land if we do not have within our expenses for the future from our income, right? The model that I'm showing you. So what then happens here is this, is that we need then to invest into the future. And then I'm telling you 20 to 30% should be put into. So let me pick 30%, which 30% of 2,600. So now look at what I'm saying here. You should put it into security, buffer, or emergency fund. Now, the reason why you need to do this thing is very important, and I wish we could have this at the back of our head. So before we go to wealth accumulation and acceleration and stuff, I would need all of you to save that 600. So for now, please, I'm assuming you're all taking 2,000. Some of you take way above that. Some will take less. Some of you are yet to get a job, but this is just for understanding purposes. So if you have 2,000 and you are saving 30% here, which simply means, by the way, please, for those who are Christians who pay tithes, this is after your 10% has been deducted. So this is after government has taken their tax, and you have your net take home, and you've also, after net tithes, after you've taken your tithes out, this is 100% after tithe, those who pay tithes. So if you have 30% of 2,000, which is 600, the first thing I need you to do is for the next 12 months, those who are very young and not in a hurry, I'll prefer the next 24 months, okay? Preferably the next 24 months. And the reason why I'm saying preferably the next 24 months, you have 600 cities times 24. That gives you 14,400, right? 14,400, and I'm saying that you should live with 60% of your salary, right? 60% is 1,200, right? 1,200 times 12 is 14,400. So let me explain the principle again to you. If any one of you here is paid 2,000 Ghana cedis a month, and this 2,000, I don't know if I should do an Excel to make it easier for some of you. Let me see if I can open an Excel. I think maybe that'll be easier for you. Or are you getting the calculation? If you are getting, there's no need going to open an Excel and demonstrate it.
I think it's clear enough, so we can move on.
It's clear enough. It's clear. Good. Thank you. So if you are taking 2,000, okay, and you are spending 60%, that's 1,200, right? So for 1,200, for the next 12 months, your expenditure as a person is 14,400. Is that okay? So for the next 24 months, out of the 60%, the 30% we talk, which is 600, if you can save the 600 for 24 months, which is 2 years, then it means that after 2 years, so let's say that you are 23 years, 22 years, you just started work and you've gotten a job, it gives you 2,000 a month. Just an example, please. Now, the 2,000, you save 600 cedis every month for the next 2 years. By that time, you are 25 years. So by the time you are 25 years, you have what we call an emergency fund or a buffer or a security. You have it there. What that means is that by the time you are 25 years, you already have 1 year full salary sitting in your account. God forbid, if you lose your job, you can live on your own emergency fund for 1 year without a problem. Am I making sense to anybody? Is this wisdom to anybody?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So
Wisdom
let me
is the
give you.
principal
Let me give
thing.
you. Okay. Let me give you a funny example. When there was a financial cleanup in Ghana, uh, there were bankers. Actually, I would be specific because it was in public domain. So there was a Beige Capital branch manager who had worked for so many years with them, and when things went bad in the financial system, and he lost his job, he didn't have anything and any money with him. He started selling chinchinga, kebab, to make ends meet. But if this man had done this method I'm showing you, it means that for his 60% expenditure, it would have been covered by 30% of his emergency fund, which he saved for 2 years. And that means that this manager we are talking about would have survived for 1 year without a job. And once he can survive for 1 year, he can even freely be knocking at doors and looking for another job and never struggle with his family and what to eat and what. Do you get where I'm coming from? But this manager was living from paycheck to paycheck, not on the net worth mentality. Am I making sense to someone?
Yeah.
So the first level is for all of you here to have an emergency fund, which means that 60%, 30%, sorry, after you spend 60%, the rest of the 40%, 30% of that money, you are going to pile it up into emergency fund. Now, once you have done emergency fund, I'm going to ask you, for those of you who are still young, to do another 24 months. I'm sticking with age because I picked you at 23. You've saved 30% for 2 years, you are 25. Do it for another 24 months, another 2 years, by that time be 27. And that one, do it as a buffer. Now I'm explaining the difference. The buffer here is money that is like an emergency fund, but that you can go in and use it for other things. It's like it's like a forlorn. So the emergency fund, you put it into treasury bill, you put it into fixed deposits, you lock it up. And until you've lost your job, there's no other source of income, you go into that for that. Then the buffer for the next 24 months, you do that. Now this buffer is going to become our first seed capital for the next stages that we are going. And then we'll talk about wealth accumulation. Now, wealth accumulation here is what we are actually doing. So you're accumulating part of your money into wealth accumulation. Now, as I explained to you, we are talking about value. So you can add value to yourself through education. In other words, if you earn 2,000 cedis, I sit here today and I have 2 masters and I have my doctorate, and I might be doing a 3rd master's for a particular program. And why would I be doing that and then become a chartered accountant, UKUS, do all that? Why would you do all that? When you do that, that is the second stage. You are adding more value to you. So as of today, as I sit here, I cannot do any job that pays anything less than 5,000 Ghana cedis per the value I give. So any job I do should be paying preferably above 10,000 Ghana cedis. Than 10,000. So at this stage, what I have done with my life is that I've added value to my life, that if I'm working for someone, I'm bringing in service and value. And for that reason, I cannot be paid below a certain threshold. Is that okay? Now, the acceleration is where we get to the third part, if you see it here. We then use the buffer that we've done. Part can go into education. I'm giving you the long haul. I'm not giving you any simple method. No sakawa, no money falling from anywhere. So your buffer, you can use some for your education, do a master's to add value, do a chartered program, become a chartered economist, chartered whatever, banker, do your, so you know which field you find yourself. Then the acceleration is where the real thing comes in. The main reason, I remember the last time I was at KNUST Entrepreneurial Summit organized by Lawyer Konya for the whole school at Great Hall. And when I was talking at Great Hall, I remember I spoke about networking and social capital. And I was telling people that I would advise every young person before you move into full-time entrepreneurship, get some little working experience. There's not to waste time without working experience, but it is actually for you to learn how to manage your stuff. Your idea may be great, but sometimes working experience in the corporate world gives you a better view of managing your own stuff when you start your own business. If you have an idea like the Zuckerberg and the rest, and you think there's no need to work for somebody and you have the finances, then no need to work for someone. But what I'm just trying to say here is that for the acceleration, you've used your labor, you've used your work to get money. Now you start to put that money into shares and bonds. Time will not permit me to explain to you, but bonds and shares are simply equity you give or debt you give to a reliable institution through a brokerage. So for example, you can buy shares through MTN. Shares from MTN, EcoBank, FarmMilk. You go through a broker, then you buy it, and then you become a part owner of MTN. So instead of just using data of MTN, you know that every money you put into MTN, that money pays you some dividends, and you become a part owner. You can go into bonds. So the last time I think I explained briefly. So we have what I call the treasury bills, we have the notes, we have the bonds. So the treasury bills are issued by the government of Ghana through brokers such as the commercial banks and other institutions, financial institutions. So for treasury bills, often 91 days, 182, 365 days. And bonds are often issued between more than 1 year up to 5 years. Some are even going beyond. And bonds have a higher interest return. Now, some of you can also decide that, hey, I get it. I like the bonds, I like the shares, but the returns are small. So those are safe investments. So I want to go and buy land. Land, investment in land has never been a bad thing if you want to buy and sell or buy and keep anyway for the future. I remember when I first came back to Ghana in 2013, there was a land at Atasman, so going for between 50 and 80,000. I didn't buy the land. In 2017 or 16, I went to Atasman for land, and for 300,000 Ghana cedis, looking for some, I was not even getting. So a land that I could have bought at 50,000 and sold it under 4 years for 300,000, I didn't buy. So sometimes you could buy that land and then the returns are so high. So I recently made some investment in 2016, bought a land for 30,000. And today I'm ready to release a land at 150,000. And it happened around 2015, 2016. So sometimes buying lands are good and you buy them because as I told you and we learned, money devalues over time, but land appreciates. So you can buy land. And then you can also do business. The advantage with business in Ghana is that the return on investment in Ghana is very high because of inflation. Ghana is the only place where you can put 20,000 into a business and end up getting 30,000. I mean, that's 50% profit. You can put even 20 and get even 100%. You can put in, most of our returns are crazy, 20%. The minimum I see per the customers I've dealt with are 5% return on investment, and that is per transaction. So business in Ghana is very good if you understand it. Now, once you've done all of that, if you look at it carefully, there was this 10% I didn't talk about, and this 10% is very important because the reason why this 10% is very important is that people are accumulating wealth, but they are not protecting it. And when I say protecting it, you have a house, maybe finally you built a house, you don't do the insurance for the house. So that's under damages, the 2%. You have a car, you don't do the insurance for the car. Diseases, you don't have any health insurance for yourself, for your kids. Dependence, you can die anytime. We're all human beings, anything can happen. What happens to your kids? Now, they are very good at insurance policies that you can do, educational policies for your kids you can do. So what I'm saying here is that the 30% you are accumulating, 10% of it should go into what I call the 3Ds. That's the dependence, the diseases, and damages. So recently, I have a very good friend of mine who is in my church, and I was in Takoradi when a pastor called and said his house has been burnt to the ground. Everything, their passports, he has a dual citizenship, everything burnt, their certificates, their money, everything burnt to ashes, purely burnt. Unfortunately, he didn't have any insurance on the house. So all that has been, and I has now raised a whole new money to do it. I, on the other hand, my home, I have insurance on not just the house, but on the content of the house too. I recently had a friend who came for my wife's car and was involved in a serious accident. The insurance people paid me 100% of the sum insured, and I recouped it. So wealth protection is necessary because as you accumulate, you never know when things can also go bad. Now, this is the part where I want all of us to get to. Once you have accumulated enough, you've accelerated it. Whether in business or in land or whatever. So it's where you can be anything, you do a whole lot of things under passive income. And finally, you get to that level of what we call financial independence, retiring early. So you become financially independent and you're able to retire early. So somebody like me, I'm at a level in my life where I have understood these things. I took a steady leave for 1 year from work, and because I practice what I'm telling you, I've been more than okay. I'll be more than okay. And these are practical things that you could do. I am getting exhausted from the journey. I think I will end here for now, and then I'll take questions. Organizers, hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello, dog.
Yes. I think I would end here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'll take questions for now. Then the third session will go in.
All right. I think
But I hope it was very clear.
Before
Okay, but look, let me add this thing quickly before I forget.
Okay.
For all of you listening to me carefully, there is a plan in here. There's a plan in here where each one of you here listening to me can all retire, even if you don't go into business, you don't go into anything, can all retire as a millionaire. I mean, I'm giving you the safest method. If those of you who are not high risk can retire, but those of you who are high risk can even do it earlier than that. In a maximum of 20 years, if you can save 1,000 Ghana cedis, and compound it yearly with an interest rate between 10 to 25%. I'm saying 10 to 25%. That's why, because for 20 years, a lot of factors come in. Rates in Ghana can change. But if you are doing between 10 to even 30%, let me make it that wide. And you can save 500 cedis or 1,000 cedis. And if you can save more, it's even anybody who can do that even with just simple treasury bill rollover, saving constantly 500 to 1,000 cedis, you will end up being a millionaire through it. Let me explain that principle to you. So there's a principle. Okay, that was too complicated. I can't do the calculations for you. But let me put it this way: that if you are even risk averse and you don't have the courage to be able to do your own business and start something, if you can do this wealth accumulation of 30% point I showed you and accelerate it if you can or if you can't, just even the wealth accumulation alone, and you're able to save that 600 to 1,000 cedis and put it in treasury bill, rollover plus interest, and keep doing it for the next 20 years, I can assure you on every authority I have, you retire as a millionaire. Every single one of you, even with just that simple one. The reason why most people don't retire as millionaires is that a lot of people are struggling to spend within their means. They are all living above their means and they can't save any money. So the first way to making more money is to be able to be frugal. Now, I told you the abundance style I couldn't explain because of time, but the abundance style is in here. It's at this point here, the business and land, and then the passive income. With abundance style, you have a mentality where you know that there is enough for all of us. So if you venture into any business, you put in the right mechanisms, you know you make the money, irrespective of the competition or the cartel or the mafia involved, you can still make money. And then you can make it and compound it over a period. So I'm just trying to say that wealth is a possibility. I think I've told Doc, because of COVID, I've stopped launching my books. Once my books are ready, I'll let you guys, and then you can look into it. But I'm just being very honest with you. Let's demystify wealth. Let's demystify it. It is very possible. I'm not that old. I'm not that young. Neither am I that young, but I have lived these principles. I'm living with them, and I can tell you the difference they've made in my life. Okay, so I'll take the questions.
Thank you, Doc, so much. We have two hands up. We'll take them one after the other. I think we will take before Isaac first. So Isaac, you can speak now. You can unmute your
Doc.
microphone and speak.
Okay.
Okay, Doc.
Yes, sir.
My question is, with the map of personal income, assuming one receive 2,000, as you said, and he want to go into a business that in future he may have the FIRE.
Okay.
With the duration, for how long, what type of business should you go in so that you'll be expecting the returns? Because look, you first said when you work, do not work for money, but work to build a system that generates money. But some people go into agric, this farming, which farming takes time to bring returns. Is it profitable?
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good question. The name again?
I am before Isaac.
Isaac. Okay. So Isaac, thank you so much for the question. Let me put a caveat here, also a disclaimer. When I was doing this, I told the entire team that there is no shortcut to wealth, but wealth is possible for every single one of us. The second caveat here is also this. I don't like telling people what to do. I expose people to alternatives and they make the decisions. The third thing here is that irrespective of which of the options you choose, everyone gathered here listening to me can become a millionaire. The difference is under the word leverage. In other words, it is about the risk appetite here. It's about how well you use your resources available to you to your advantage. That will determine how soon you get to this millionaire status. That you so let me put it this way. What I have exposed all of you to. Second year is 37,500 times 1.25. In the third year is 46,000. Now, the principle of 70 tells us that the number of years with which your what do you call it, your investment doubles. So for example, if I have 25% return per annum, it means that every 3 years my money will double. So if anybody did the calculation with me, you realize that the 24,000, we are almost at 46,000, something, almost 48,000. So in 3 years, that money doubles. So let me do some maths with you to make it simple. So let's take it that we are going for 20 years. We have 24,000, right, as our buffer. 24,000 times 2, that is year 3, is 48,000. 48,000 times 2, that is year 6, it's 96,000. 96,000 times 2, that is year 9, 192,000. Now 192,000 times 2, that is year 12, it's 384,000. 384,000 times 2, that is year 15, it's 768,000. Year 15 times 2. So year 18 is 1,536,000. So if you are able to save 1,000 Ghana cedis as buffer for 12 months, like we talked about, and you start using that 12 months, for the next 18 years at 25% return. In other words, you put some in bonds, you put some in land, you put some in shares, you put some in business, whatever, we are taking an average of 25%. In 18 years, you should be having 101,536,000. You should be having 1,526,000. Now look at it. If you go for 21 years, you'll be having 3 million Ghana cedis out of that 24,000. Now this calculation I did for you, it is minus your regular savings again. In other words, we picked only 24,000 Ghana cedis. You didn't add again for the next 21 years, and you got 3 million. If you can do so somebody is asking time value of money, and that is a very good question we'll come to it. If you can do 24,000 Ghana cedis, and in 21 years, you are going to have 3 million Ghana cedis at 25%. Now, let's imagine that the 24,000, you are continuing the savings. In other words, the year 3, which was 48,000, you're going to save another 12,000 in year 1. You're going to save another 12,000 in year 2. You're going to save another 12,000 in year 3, which means that by the year 3 of 48,000, you have another 36,000 adding to it. By the way, interest will accrue to it, which means that it would have shortened your 21 years to about 12 or 15 years, and most often 12 years. So if it shortens it to 12 years by you saving 1,000, which means that you are getting 3 million, then the time value of money that before Isaac has put there, it means that you are getting that money, the 3 million Ghana cedis out of the 24,000 your regular savings, earlier than the 21 years. You've gotten by 12 years. Now let's even make it more interesting here. I told you that business and land give you more than 25%. So if you have a higher risk appetite and you can put money into land, or you can put money into business, then you are also going to get even more than 25%. You're going to compound it, and then you can shorten it. These principles I'm talking to you, I have lived them and I have experienced them. Because it's on record and it's not in person, I can't mention my personal things to you. However, you are able to achieve this faster if you are able to accumulate, plow back, and compound. And when you do land and business, it's even faster. So what this means here is that mathematically, in 10 years, we cannot be millionaires. But the only problem, so someone says, if it's that simple, why are people not millionaires? In 10 years, why are they not? Because I came back to Ghana in 2013. I'm getting to 10 years since I came back. And the sad truth here is that in these 8 years, I have applied these same principles and I've accelerated a 30-year plan within 6 years. By virtue of some few things I did, I have lost money, I have gained money, and I am actually, because the point is, when your risk appetite is high, you lose money, you gain money. But I've accelerated my time, my 21 years, within a 6-year period. So now, to the question that you asked, where are some of the places that you can invest? I have told you, and I'll be honest with you. At this stage, I don't know the class of people I'm talking to. I know some are working, some are from school, some are, they are different groups of people. The principles here, you have to appropriate it and apply it. And let me give you an example. Let me give some disclaimers and caveats. For you not to lose money, don't invest in things you do not understand. Anything you don't understand, don't invest in it. So let me give you an example. If you still think you don't understand business, don't invest in business. If you don't understand cryptocurrency and somebody's telling us whatever, don't invest in it. If you don't understand network marketing, don't invest in it. Even savings and whatever you don't understand, don't invest in it. But for me, it will be very, very shallow of any one of us to not invest in something because we refuse to learn about that thing, to learn about what bonds are, to learn about what shares are. In the modern world of Google and information available everywhere, take the pain to understand what you're investing in and ask yourself, is it worth the risk? If it is, then you invest in it. So the method I've shown you here, I give you the safest of them all. That is treasury bills and bonds, dealing with banks. Get some 12%, get some 18% spread over 5 years, compounded, and do that one. It will take you there. You keep putting your savings in there, you get there. Or move into shares. If you go to the stock exchange, you can do direct shares purchase, like the example I give you, or you can do what I call mutual funds. And I always advise people to do mutual funds because with the mutual funds, the risk is left with the broker. And that is like the data bank and EDC and the rest, where they would put your funds, the pool of funds, into what we call diverse assets, diversified assets. So they put it into different streams of investments. And at the end of the day, a cumulative return will be put on premium for you. So you can do mutual funds with these people, which will be above between 15, they have from some as low as 13, or you can even go as high as 28%. And then you can put it there too. Or you go the extra mile of putting it into land, that's real estate and stuff, or into business, starting an Uber. Because if you pick the case of an Uber work and pay, which I've done myself, gives you a return of 50% per annum. 50% per annum. So if your 25% took you 12 years and you are getting 50% per annum just with an Uber deal, then it simply means that you are going to finish within 6 years. And you become a millionaire. Because let's put like simple example here. You put in an Uber, you bought an Uber at, let's say 30,000, blah, blah, no, 25,000. And people are doing 500 a week for you, work and pay. 500 times 52 is 26,000. So you put in 25,000, let's say you put in 25,000. 26,000. Year one, you get 26,000. Year two, you get another 26,000. So in 2 years, the car goes to the driver, but you have made 52,000 out of it. 52,000, you put in 25. So let's say you made how much? 100% return. Now this 52 thousand, you try to buy something big, and that money I'm even not touching. I want to give it to my kids. I'll not even touch it. So imagine I started doing that so it looks as if some of us are making it in a way, or these principles are working for us, but it was never a quick start. It was never a quick start. It has taken years to build what we are building. So the number one thing here is patience. Number two is financial intelligence. You need to learn these things and teaching. Such seminars are good. Talking to people like myself is good. Getting the understanding. And before you make an investment, seek counsel, seek advice. So we started a consulting firm. We started actually. So I have some very key big institutions as my client, where we advise them. It's called Extat Biz. So very soon, people like you who wants expert advice, you can come to our office and then we'll advise you, help you with it. And then, so all this thing I'm doing is for free. I've told the organizers, by the time my books are out and my consulting is out, it wouldn't be for free.
All right, thank you, Doc. I think we can take Awuni Moses now. So Moses, you can please speak.
Hello, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. And I think that this is a very eye-opener for some of us. My question is on the expenses. You made mention that we should save about 40 to 60% of our salary. Me, like this, I'm a student. But then the kind of pressure mountain I'm going through, and before I even start this responsibility lying there, like taking care of my mom and my nephews and niece. This responsibility that are lying ahead, what advice would you give to some of us based on the savings?
Okay, so that's a good question. So these discussions we are having, for some of you, it shouldn't be an immediate thing you should do. You should understand them and know when to apply them. Let me give an example. So I have a friend who decided that, hey, between the time he leaves uni, which was around 22, 23 years, till he's 30 years, he's going to spend all his money on taking care of his younger siblings and making sure they've all finished uni. And then when he's 31, 32, then he'll start planning doing these things. Today, he's about 40 years and he's doing very well. So he sacrificed the first 7 years for the family to make sure that in future, they don't come and worry him with money issues. And then he did it. So there are two ways I'm going to advise you. Number one, you can avoid this whole method for now and focus on helping your family, but especially you should know these things. Let me be honest with you. The difference with his and what I'm telling you is that when you are trying to help your family, help them with teaching them to fish and not fishing for them. An example, I'll show you what I did for my mom. So I send money to my mom every week, is to put up something for her, okay? If you put up something for her, you know that doesn't take money from your salary or your pocket. You've done something somewhere for her, which caters for her. So normally I could have bought a taxi for her to take care of the taxi. But I know some of the manner, there's a problem with the taxi or the Uber, she'll come back to me for repairs and stuff. So I don't even tell her I've bought Uber for her, or I've done this for her. I do it, and then the returns from it is what I use to take care of her. So that's an example. Second one, the example of the gentleman I gave, he took care of his siblings so that in the next chapter, that's after 30 years, they wouldn't be coming to him for money. And that was good. So now the money you're taking care of his siblings when you're 31, 30 something, were, were all money he could save. It's a very, very good place. Okay, good. So Desmond, good. Thank you. Fidelity Fixed Income Trust. So Desmond has given us. Prudential Insurance is really, really probably one of the best. Prudential is coming from UK. I personally have done educational policies for all my kids. So Prudential, that is Ayensu NST, is in the chats. You can see him if you need some. Highly, highly recommended. Fantastic insurance policies they have. Fidelity Fixed Income, which is very good. I have 2 colleagues who work there. You can also do that. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for your time this evening. Our time is up, but as usual, we want to take your final words, any take-home message for us in a minute or even less. Thank you very much.
Okay. So my last words would be quite very simple, but you can't do this alone. Okay. You need a social network you can follow. For me, my entire life, I would say that there's been some brethren and some friends and families who keep you going. The top, when you get there, even with all this money thing we've talked about, it sometimes gets lonely at the top. Life can become difficult. Challenges can come up unexpected. You need a very good support system. So those of you who are very good friends,
and you have very good friends, I advise that cherish them, learn to maintain good friends, and value your support system. That's your family, your wife, your kids. Value your support system. When all this is said and done, they are the people that keep you going. So in addition to all that I've said, I'm just telling you, build a good support system around you. You need it.
Thank you so much. His last words, we are to build a good support system around us. God bless you, Doc, for your time this evening and for all the wonderful knowledge that you have shared with us. We pray that the Lord continue to bless you and increase your knowledge so that you can continue to impact the world. To everyone who made it this evening, for this evening session, thank you for making the session wonderful. Some few quick announcements. This model is in 3 parts. We had a part 1 last week. Today is the second part. And we are going to have the final part on the 24th of July. That is some 2 months away. 2 months. Like 24th of July, some months away from now. And the idea is that for all the concepts that Doc has shared with us, we have to put them into practice, and then we come back with our questions so that Doc will be able to address them. and we try to practice them, some of the challenges that we encountered and how we can overcome them. And so the last part will be very interactive. And even before the last section, we are going to send out a form for you to send your feedback to us so that if you have questions, Doc can even prepare ahead to come and address them for you. So please take notes. The next session is on 24th of July. It's also a Saturday, and we hope to end or conclude this model on a very good note. Once again, thank you for making it this evening and have a wonderful evening.
I don't not coming for a shower.